The 2021 F1 driver market exploded to life when Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel declared they would be mutually parting ways. So what happens next? For starters, a coveted seat with F1's most historic team is suddenly up for grabs, and a host of drivers are inevitably being linked. But there's also the question of Vettel's own future. Despite his impressive record, the four-time world champion's options to move teams seems limited for a driver of his caliber. McLaren and Renault could be on the cards, but both are going through a restructuring process and might not be able to offer him the success he craves. Mercedes could have an opening as Lewis Hamilton's contract comes to an end, but both parties have expressed their intention to extend their winning partnership. Could the end of 2020 be the end of Sebastian Vettel's Formula One career? Only time will tell, but the open seat at Ferrari will be certain to tempt a lot of drivers. At the start of the year, I was asked to make one bold prediction for the season, and I said I believed Carlos Sainz would be a Ferrari driver in 2021. Given the news of Ferrari and Sebastian's parting, I see no need to change that prediction. A driver still hugely underrated amongst a large proportion of the Formula One fan base, Carlos's exceptional year at McLaren marked him out as a talent with a key team spirit. He compared favourably to Max Verstappen in their time as teammates, and his pace has proved to be impressive ever since. Also, he's young enough to have a good number of years ahead of him and would likely form a solid working relationship with Leclerc. Put simply, for me, he ticks all the boxes. Of course, the romantics out there would love to see Daniel Ricciardo take one of the Scarlet seats, but his name has been linked with Ferrari for so many years, you'd have to assume they'd have already taken the plunge for his services if they were ever going to do so. So, if Sainz moves to Ferrari, I could see Ricciardo ending up at McLaren, as it's well known Zach Brown tried to sign him before ultimately losing out to Renault for 2019. Like many drivers, Valtteri Bottas is out of contract at the end of 2020. As a strong number 2 with recent World Championship winning experience, could he be what Ferrari are looking for? Will Mercedes try and hold on to him, and if they don't, where does he end up? If the Sainz and Ricciardo carousel goes the way I think, and if Mercedes don't try and hold on to him, I wouldn't be shocked to see Valtteri end up at Enstone. So who would partner Lewis Hamilton? Firstly, no, I don't think it's going to be Charles Leclerc, because I don't see Hamilton going anywhere, especially not Ferrari. His ties to Mercedes are just too strong. Might George Russell get the call-up? Might Esteban Ocon break contract and jump ship back to Mercedes? And if Ocon slipped back into silver, then would Vettel, or potentially an Alonso, slide in at Renault? Seems unlikely. But speaking of unlikely, we do have to discuss Fernando Alonso. Of course he sees F1 as unfinished business, but is there a team that could match his expectations? Mercedes is a no-go, and frankly a return to Ferrari seems fanciful, as would a jump back to McLaren. Red Bull have a stable full of races and don't seem interested, which would leave only Renault and, potentially, Aston Martin. Which opens up the question of Sergio Perez, a former Ferrari junior with an abundance of skill and an ability to create magic from mayhem. Could he yet end up as Leclerc's teammate? It would be the only way in which a seat opened up at Aston Martin, one into which the aforementioned Alonso, or even Vettel, might well focus their desires. And what of the outsiders for that Ferrari seat? Antonio Giovinazzi would be the next in line if the Ferrari junior hierarchy is to be followed, but it does feel like an outside shot for a call-up to the Scuderia. The same is true of both Schumacher and Schwartzman, this opportunity coming so early in both their junior careers. And what about fan favourite Nico Hülkenberg? Again, you have to feel that given the data at their disposal, Ferrari might already have offered him a seat, if it was ever going to do so. But for the sake of a bit of romance, let's leave his name in the mix. There is, of course, one final permutation. What if, and it's a big if, Toto Wolff took advantage of the now contractually free 4-time world champion, pitched him against the 6-time world champion, and gave Formula One the battle it's been craving for a decade? Hamilton versus Vettel in equal machinery. Wouldn't that be something? So, a fascinating time lies ahead with some difficult decisions to be made. For Mattia Binotto, a smorgasbord of talent to choose from, and a delicious fall of the dominoes to occur once he makes his ultimate choice. Let silly season commence.